Here we are. This is GEFerris narrating, and we are coming in over the northern shore of Great Slave Lake, heading for Yellowknife, where we'll come in for a landing. Interesting thing about Yellowknife is DC-3s still fly here. These ravens in the Arctic are so gregarious.
We're on the north shore of Great Slave Lake in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. It's our first day. We're going to fly up to the Baillie River. This is the Beaver. We're going to fly up in on the lake. This is an otter, a larger airplane. This is another airplane ready for takeoff. This is the waterfront in Yellowknife.
Now we're on the Baillie, and I am just coasting along close to the melting snow, capturing the sounds that it is making as it drips on the water. We have launched further down the Baillie than we expected because the ice has only just gone out, and this is the closest we can get. We're paddling Kleppers. I couldn't resist showing you this view over the side of my kayak. We are totally dependent on all of this snow melt water. Here is a gull overhead. It's flat terrain, a class 1 and occasionally a class 2 rapid. We are passing through an area with alder bushes. Now we have brilliant pink feldspar. Here is our first riffle, and we're coming upon a flightless goose. This is Erwin Streisinger winding up his movie camera. Erwin is talking to Patrick Buchanan, our third person on this trip. Now we are at the confluence of another river feeding into the Baillie. Here are some alder bushes. These lines in this pink sand represent the change in water level. Here is our first sighting of a Canada goose.
A molting Canada goose we caught swimming in the Baillie.
Our first view of large hoofed animals.
This is a musk ox. He is shedding.
Here is Ledum, and now we are looking at Amphitryon nigrum, and we are going to be looking at lichens. These are all growing on the tundra right now. They are food for muskox, caribou, ground squirrels, any herbivores. I always find these lichens especially interesting. Where these lichens choose to grow, on what type of rocks, their range in color, which is bizarre, and their range in shapes always amazes me. They are very hard to believe.
This is a lupin in the Arctic. It's small, but it's still a lupin. It has slightly hairy leaves.
A pedicularis that hasn't opened yet. Next we'll see some heavily varnished
Feldspar from the Baillie River area.
Here is our first overview of the river winding through the tundra. These are the calls of white-fronted geese. I'm just looking in these bits of terrestrial water to see if there are any cocopod or other zooplankton. However, there's tons of red algae here. Candle ice, very unusual ice along the river, melting and dropping pieces. What I find hilarious is that they tinkle when they drop. It always fascinates me, the color of sun shining through compressed snow. Our western horizon today. A male ptarmigan I've come across trying to trick me and act as a decoy. Note his white feathers. Now he'll lift off and watch how he flies. He'll fly straight up and then straight down. Some interesting clouds backed up on the western horizon, portending some kind of storm coming in. Note the cumulus clouds in among the layers and a lot of wind upstairs, as you can see by the blown out cloud. Here we are on relatively flat land with no place to duck behind to get out of what may be some very strong wind. At this latitude, foul weather actually comes in from the east rather than the west. This is a good one we're coming up to. A lot of water is really raging through here. This is a little scary because you really don't want to make a mistake. We're up here, we're all alone, and we have no way of contacting anybody. This is interesting. We have a layer of transparent ice, and on top of it is candle ice. And we're gliding by. The river is moving at something like 7 knots, according to Irwin. In our Klepper Aerius swans, we are negotiating this fast-moving water.
Amazing.
I'm giving you a panorama of the late evening light, with an overview of the river as it is rushing by.
Brilliant yellows out there.
Our kleppers are inverted down below. Irwin is taking a photograph, probably of these azaleas. They are so beautiful. We have an interesting overview of a glacial formation.
Caribou trails are quite obvious in that grass down there. Here's the next rapid we have to negotiate tomorrow. Oh boy. This is a ptarmigan which has just started to molt. See the brown feathers on the otherwise white body?
This is a very dramatic example of an esker along the Baillie, and it has pre-sorted gravel such that on the top everything is just the same size, making it quite fascinating. This is where we have the gravel, and we have it as a layer of sand. We're starting to encounter caribou that have gotten near our campsite but are on the other side of the river. They are busy eating, and here are the clouds on the horizon.
We have a rainbow this morning.
As we're gliding down the river, the caribou are watching us, and so are the musk ox.
Yeah, they're big.
Now we're out investigating the tussocks in this area just to see what grows where. It's pretty windy, but here's an overview of what's along the edge of the river. Kind of boggy. Here's some more panoramic overview just to give you a feeling for the topography. Here's some more red algae growing on last year's dead grasses. And just for amusement, 2 different rocks with the same lichen, and then other lichens. Now we have Arctic heath, very nice plant. Just a grand example of Parmelia centrifugia. This is another large foliose lichen that likes to grow on rocks. I think it's another type of Parmelia.
There's a hatch of some kind of small butterfly or moth just has happened. This is food for the fish we're catching. There's a Lapland longspur looking for insects along the edge of the Baillie River.